Son, the quickest way to feeling anxiety, to feeling powerless, is to watch the news every day. Now, I'm going to share with you one powerful truth that can literally change your life for the rest of your life. And stick with me because I'm going to give you my personal story and some examples on how you can practice this in your everyday life and still keep up with what's going on in the world. So, the day I quit watching the news was the day that I regained my peace. It's the day that I regained my focus. And you know what? The world didn't end. It actually got better. And the first thing you need to understand is that the news, it's not a truth machine. It's actually a fear building machine. And that's because the news is a business. The news is not there to be your friend. It's not there to give you information to help you out in your life in any sort of way. It's not there to make you feel better, that's for sure. It's there to make money. If you've heard the term, if it bleeds, it leads, well, that's pretty much a description of the mainstream media. They're there to make money, and the more gory, the more violent, the more devastating, the more destructive the story is, the more people are going to watch it, the more money they're going to make from advertising. So that's the first thing. The news is not your friend, and it's not there to help you out at all. Now, the second thing you need to know is that what you focus on becomes your world. So if you're focused on all that violence, on that negativity, if you're focused on all that bad news, that's what the world is going to be bringing back to you. So that's why people that tend to watch the news a lot are unhappy. They're stressed out, they're anxious, they're angry. You can see them, they're always complaining about this politician or that politician. They're complaining about the world, the people in the world, how bad everything is. But that's because they're soaking in that bad information from the news. And that becomes their reality. So if you focus on positive stuff, on good stuff that you can find, that becomes your world instead. And let me share my example real quick before we continue going. So it was about 4 or 5 years ago, I woke up and I just felt so anxious. And I really couldn't figure it out. I mean, I have a great life. I'm so happy at home with you and your mom. I try to surround myself with positive people, but I still wake up anxious. I still wake up stressed out, and I couldn't figure it out. And then one day it hit me. I was like, I wonder if it's the news. So I gave myself a little challenge. I said, for the next 30 days, I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to consume that bad information. And you know what? I did it, and my life started turning around that quick, so fast, because I was no longer soaking up all that bad information, all that negativity from the news or online. And after that, I said, well, let me cut out the apps on my phone, the news apps, because then I was going to my phone and just reading the news, and that was really no better. So I started cutting out the apps on my phone, no more news apps. And then I went one more step, and I started making sure that the news from the mainstream media and all that was no longer in any of my feeds online. I no longer wanted those pop-ups to what's happening in the world. So I cut all that out. And from that moment on, my life changed. And yours can too. I really think it's worthwhile to just try it. Try it for 30 days. Cut out all the news. Cut out all the mainstream news from TV, from your phone, from the internet, from your streams. Cut it all out. And I guarantee that you're going to see things different. You're going to start seeing the world in a positive light. You're going to start seeing people better. People aren't so bad. Places that you want to go aren't so scary. Try that out for 30 days. Let me know how that went. Now, another thing is that you can't create a positive life with a polluted mind. And that just means like all that negativity that you're bringing in from the news, from the social media and all that, you can't create a positive life because you're focused on the negative, and there's no room for the positivity if you're just filling up your mind and your subconscious with the negativity. So that goes for online too, and it also goes for the people you surround yourself with. If you're surrounding yourself with people that are just regurgitating that bad news to you all day long, it's almost as bad as watching it yourself, because you're still hearing all that bad news. You're still hearing all that negativity, and it's still seeping in. You think about it like planting a seed, like a sunflower seed in a garden. If you plant that sunflower seed in toxic soil, there's no way that sunflower is going to grow into that beautiful flower that you want. It's going to shrivel away, and any sunflowers that you already have in your garden are going to die along with it. So pull in the positivity, soak in the good news, and your garden will grow. Your sunflowers will be bright, yellow, positive, happy. Now, one more thing to go over before I give you some examples on how you can implement this pretty easily in your daily life. And that is, what is it? Hold on. Oh yeah, most of it doesn't affect you anyway. Most of the news that you see online, it doesn't affect your day-to-day life. It's not going to change what you're doing on a daily basis, okay? I get it. When you're going to vote, you might want to research some stuff. I get it. That's smart. But typically, especially the national mainstream media news, all it does is bring that negativity into it taints your viewpoint of the entire world. It makes you see things in so bad ways. It makes you angry. And it doesn't really do anything to make your life better. So it really doesn't affect you. There's nothing that you need to know that's going to affect you in your day-to-day life that you can't find out in other ways. If it affects you personally or your family, you're going to hear from it. I mean, you're going to hear from your family, you're going to hear from your friends. They're going to let you know this stuff. Trust me, I quit watching the news 4 or 5 years ago. If something I need to really know big that happened, my coworker or my family is going to tell me. And then it's my choice whether I want to hear that, whether I want to soak that information out or soak that information up, or just walk away, or let them know, hey, I'm not in the mood to hear that today. I'm just trying to stay positive. And most people will respect that. The last thing I want to go over is an easy way that you can still figure out what's going on with stuff that you want to know about. You can cherry pick the good information that you want to know about and not feel left in the dark from all this. And that is going onto platforms like YouTube, searching up YouTubers that really are boots on the ground. People like Peter Santanella or Christmas List. Those people are on the ground talking to locals. They're talking to people in these situations right after it happens, even a year later sometimes. And you'll find out that they're reporting from the ground, from the people affected by this stuff, much, much differently than the mainstream media. And that gives you a big clue that what the mainstream media is broadcasting out and you're soaking up in your subconscious is not exactly the real story a lot of times. Because when these small YouTubers head out and they talk to the locals and they talk to the people involved and they interview people, it's a much different story. And it's usually a lot more of a mixed story. You have people that report good things, and you have people that report negative things from those scenes, from those events, but you have a good mix. And a lot of time it's more positive than negative. So if you still want to get your information, if you still want to learn about traveling to somewhere that you've heard is very scary, go on YouTube and search that up. Find somebody that's been there, and chances are you're going to find out it's really not that scary, and you're probably going to have a great time going. And that goes the same for any kind of big events. There's YouTubers out there reporting on that stuff. Go find out what people are actually saying, and don't rely on that news, because again, they're there to make money off of your fear and off of your anxiety. Okay, son, I hope you got something out of this video today. I love you, and I'll see you next time.